Welcome to part two of Let's Watch Canadian Fake News together. I am going to randomly pick a video from CTV News. I'm going to pick an interesting topic, something that I know they're going to definitely lie about. Not that they don't lie about everything, but something that they're guaranteed to lie about.
Students in Ontario schools will not be required to wear a face covering come the fall semester. The Ministry of Education confirming that earlier today.
Wow, thank you for giving us our freedoms back. You're so nice.
It will be the first full term since the onset of the pandemic where masks are not required.
It's so crazy that they made these kids wear masks, even though if you're under 45, your chance of death is like 0.01%. But they still made these kids wear masks.
CTV's Colton Weens has been looking into this story for us today. And Colton, what does this mean for students?
Well, Alex, it means students now have the choice of whether they want to wear a mask or not. School boards,
They should have
local
always
school
had
boards
the
are saying
choice.
they're trying to return to as normal as possible as before the pandemic, but anyone wanting to still wear a mask will still have that option and access to one.
Students in Ontario schools will not be required to wear masks.
Man, this is so sad to see like little kids in masks. I would have hated to have a childhood like that.
In Ontario schools,
just indoctrinated, covering my face, restricting my breathing. Man, children don't need to do that shit, man. Like, why would you make kids wear a mask when you know COVID does not? I didn't want to use the word now, but now it's gonna get taken down or fucking shadow banned. This particular stream, because that's how YouTube works now. If they don't like anything you say, they shadow ban you. But yeah, man, I would have hate to have grown up like this. It would suck. It would suck balls. These kids I feel bad for them, man. I really do.
will not be required to wear masks come the fall semester. Many schools were already offering optional masking in March when the province ended mandates in most settings. Now masks will still be available.
A government should have no right to restrict your breathing or tell you what you should put on your face or that you have to put something on your face. It's crazy to me that some of these Western democracies, not Canada, but France particularly, had a ban on Muslim women wearing a niqab or a burqa to cover their face. But now, in 2021, 2022, they made it mandatory to cover your face. You see how that hypocrisy works?
Available to students upon request, and rapid tests will also remain available to school boards. Public health experts say while it's not mandatory, wearing a mask will still help reduce transmission into the community.
What we are worried more about is the transmission.
I'm worried about the transmission of communism, of government dictatorship. I'm worried about the transmission of total control over humanity.
Will help reduce transmission into the community.
What we are worried more about is the transmission from children to the community. If you ask me, my opinion is that we should still be wearing masks. It's not something that...
Let's see, who is Mr. Zahid Butt? He is the assistant professor, School of Public Health Sciences, University of Waterloo. School of Public Health Sciences. So he works at the uni and he also works for the government. He works for a public. I'm not sure, to be honest. But they always put this like he's a Pakistani man like I am, but they always put this like non-threatening Pakistani uncle with an accent. But we think it is for your safety. It's like a very non-threatening, comforting way to take your fucking freedoms away. That's why they have they always have like these soft women or like a non-threatening immigrant as their front man. But behind the scenes, they're all like vicious white people, just fucking bloodthirsty and hungry for power.
Is that we should still be wearing masks. It's not something that the children are not used to.
What the fuck are you talking about? The mask children are not used to. What do you mean, bro?
We should still
Are you retarded? Children are not used to wearing masks.
be wearing
You think they come out of the womb with a fucking mask on their face? What's wrong with this retard?
masks. It's not...
I can't believe this
If you ask me,
stupidity.
my opinion is that we should still be wearing masks. It's not something that the children are not used to.
But adds
What?
wearing masks
What?
Masks can also provide extra protection against things like the flu virus, and while Ontario seems
Now you need to wear the mask for the fucking flu virus. Why don't we just all cover ourselves in bubble wrap? How about that? Would you be happy then? Let's all stop driving because it's unsafe. Because statistically, you're more likely to die in a car accident than that.
to be hitting a peak with the 7th wave. He says the fall has been when
See, I told motherfuckers in the beginning when they started using the term waves, because there's always like Call of Duty zombies. There's waves. There's wave 1, there's wave 2, and there's wave 3. And I knew they weren't gonna stop, man, but people didn't want to listen. They said, "Oh, you're conspiracy theorists." Da, da, da. No, I'm intelligent. That's why I'm rich, and you're fucking dumb, poor retard, and you believe this shit, and you watch CTV News because you're a fucking dumbass.
cases go up.
More people will be indoors, and then we'll have to really look at how the virus is progressing.
But says extra precautions like hand sanitizing and HEPA filters are important to keep in place.
These people would keep doing this circus forever if you idiots allowed them to. Because you people are too cowardly, too afraid to speak out. This is continued so far, and it's 2022, and we're still talking about because of your cowardice and your unwillingness to even voice your concern. Like, fuck going to a protest, right? But you don't even voice your fucking concerns.
With no mandatory masks.
I think it would depend on what precautions do you have in place in schools.
The Waterloo Region District School Board says it continues to support.
Man, this is the thing with brown people, like, and again, I'm a brown person myself, especially the immigrant types, because he's obviously, I'm an immigrant too. I came here when I was 15, but he sounds like he didn't come till his like late 20s, 30s by his accent. He's probably in his 40s right now. The thing with immigrant brown people from South Asia, like, generally brown people are very, very passive and very, very like afraid people. You gotta understand, man, we were colonized for 200 years, and like our warriors were basically killed. I'm one of the only few last descendants of our warriors, but like most of our warriors were killed by the British. So what was left mostly is like soy boys, like this guy. I being the only one of the few exceptions now. You meet brown guys who are G's, but like a lot of brown dudes, man, they're soft. And I'm saying this even though I'm brown. And this guy's fucking soft. But children are used to wearing masks. Maybe in your fucking home.
Have in place in schools.
The Waterloo Region District School Board says it continues to support each individual's choice to wear one while encouraging staff and students to mask for their well-being. Currently, the board expects students to complete a self-screening each day before coming to class and requires masks for students who return from international travel or were exposed to the virus. The Waterloo Region District School Board says it's planning to announce more information regarding masking in schools during the week of August 22nd. Meanwhile, the Waterloo Catholic District School Board says it's planning to announce more information regarding masking in schools during the week of August 22nd.
Most likely they're gonna extend the masking because they like the power. These people, you guys don't understand, they enjoy the power. You guys think that these politicians and these rule makers, these people who make your policies and run your life, you guys think that they're motivated by the same things you guys are motivated by. You guys are motivated to like buy that BMW if you work hard enough. These people are just motivated by pure power and control. They're not into the same things that you're into. They enjoy the only way they ever feel any enjoyment or they feel alive is when they exercise control, because they already have all the money in the world. They don't need money. They like exercising power and authority. Respect my authority.
Meanwhile, the Waterloo Catholic District School Board says it's aiming for a return to as normal as possible, but while still offering a safe and healthy...
What they've done to society, we're never going to go back to normal because we have such cowards in our society now. I still see people in Toronto wearing masks, walking alone on the streets. People are cowards. And so these people are like permanently afraid of now. And the powers that be have changed society forever. And they'll never admit it. And they'll never admit any wrongdoing or fault. They'll say, well, it had to be done. Well, it really didn't have to be. We didn't have to do this. We didn't have to inflate the money supply. We didn't have to crash our own economies. We didn't have to do any of this.
place
But they make you think that they had
to learn. In an email, Director of Education Loretta Naughton says, "We are still encouraging vaccination for all staff and students, and masks
Of course
are
you
also
are.
encouraged."
Now it's the third booster shot. Now they're talking about a fourth booster shot. Now they're saying you have to get a booster every month or 2 months. And I called it when they announced the first booster. I'm like, yo, now it's gonna be booster after booster after booster after booster. And when this is over, then there's gonna be a new virus. And then they're gonna make you vaccine for that. That's why they wanted a vaccine passport. Because what if you have a passport, you get stamps every time you go to a new country. Just like with a vaccine passport. There's gonna be, you thought it was gonna end with the COV? No, there's gonna be more, and then they're gonna say you have to get vaccines for those. But most of you people are too dumb to realize what's going on. So
And welcomed but not mandated. We will
they're gonna continue as long as you allow them to.
still support enhanced cleaning and sanitizing of hands and materials on a regular basis.
Alex, I did speak to a number of parents today who all declined to go on camera, but the reactions were mixed around the community. Some saying they fear that taking masks away could lead to outbreaks in the community, while others say they don't want to bother their kids with having to worry about wearing a mask while in class.
Majority of the people are latter. They don't want to wear masks, and the people that did wear masks when they were mandated everywhere did it out of cowardice. They wanted to go along to get along. And that's how most Canadians are. They're nice people, but that also means that you're slightly passive. And people here are very, very passive. They'll put up with anything. Let's watch another one. What we got here. There's going to be more gems. Canada's healthcare system is falling amid staff shortages. Okay, let's watch this one.
We normally talk about COVID with you, but right now we want to talk.
Look at how bad their viewership count is. This is on August 5th, and they get boosted by YouTube like mad. And look at how few people watch their shit. And it's all negative reactions. Wow, socialized healthcare failed miserably. Who would have thought? Anyways, yeah, the things that what the people talk about, these people never talk about because they don't represent the people.
The crisis
let's get
that
into
seems to
this
be unfolding
nonsense.
in ICUs, not just in Ontario, but across the country. What is the current situation like at your hospital?
It's not just ICUs, it's ICUs, Emerge, it's the entire hospital, not just at mine, but across the province and really, I think, across the country. But what we're seeing right now is essentially our healthcare system failing a stress test, is how I've heard it best put. And yes, the healthcare system was in turmoil before the pandemic, and then this has just continued to worsen. It's difficult to get staff. It's difficult to have staff.
It's difficult to get staff because there's a lot of red tape, and even to be a nurse, you need to that's a 2-year program, I believe, and to do basic jobs in this country, you need like so many qualifications. You need a qualification this fucking long. And another reason that there's staffing shortages is because we have a bunch of immigrants in this country who were doctors back home, but here they're driving Uber. And that's because of the policies that we have in this country that don't allow them to be a doctor like they were in their home country. And the qualification process is very onerous. That's why we have a shortage. Again, it's self-inflicted by the government, but they'll never admit that because they never tell the truth. They're not allowed to tell the truth. CTV, CBC, all these news organizations are funded by the government. So why would they ever say anything bad about the government? They don't want their bread cut.
We're already working to continue to work.
Their fucking funding is going to be slashed if they ever say anything bad about Trudeau or his policies or the government in general. CTV is just a fucking puppet for whoever is in charge.
Because everybody's burnt out, and really we're scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of reserve right now.
So I've asked this question before, and maybe you can help me understand it. It's been 2 years since the pandemic. So where was the foresight to realize that medical staff were likely going to be burned out with all that they had to deal with? Because to your point, this wasn't probably going to be burned out with all that they had to deal with. Because
is this guy on fucking Facebook? Bro, this guy's on fucking Facebook, isn't he? It looks like Facebook. But I swear, bro, I was in hospital for a few years, not for myself, but my father was in the hospital. And most of these staff, bro, they would sit around on Facebook. I literally saw this one fucking nurse. She was in the room where my father was. No shame. She's sitting there on Facebook, social media. It's like posting selfies and shit. Because these people are not overworked, man. There's just a shortage supply. There's a supply shortage in staff, and that's because the qualifications are set. The qualification bar is set so high, so not a lot of people become nurses or become doctors. And a lot of it is done by design. Some of it is done because of incompetence and stupidity by the powers that be.
To your point, this was a problem before COVID, and COVID exacerbated it. So why weren't people being trained in these last 2 years?
I can't answer why people weren't being trained.
Because we have a private market in the education system, and it's like maybe people don't want to go through the training. Like, are these people complete retards? Or maybe they can't afford the education. There could be many, many different reasons. She's acting like, what do you mean? Like, does she understand that the government doesn't control everything? She's saying, oh, why weren't they trained? As if we have some central authority that trains people to do shit.
Last 2 years.
How are these people allowed on the airways?
I can't answer why people weren't being trained in the past 2 years, but I can tell you that there isn't enough funding to do that training.
They'll always blame funding. It's like, yeah, well, you always want the taxpayer to foot the bill for everything. It's like, why not just open the market? Because that will fix everything.
Isn't enough funding to actually keep people
but they don't want
within
to do that.
Healthcare. You can only do so much at work.
Not once will they ever mention government bureaucracy, red tape, or rules. They will never mention that.
And be abused so much, yes, quite literally at work, but also with, you know, people protesting all healthcare workers last year, with outrageous hours for healthcare. There's no retention strategy. Right. There's very little training strategy, and there also hasn't been for, you know, give or take 15 or 20 years, which has only been made worse by.
Look, bro, this nurse is on her phone. Yo, this one's sleeping right here. Bro, are they like trying to say that these people are fucking lazy? Because a lot of them are. Not all nurses. I'm sure some of them do a tremendous job. There's a couple of good nurses in the hospital. But they're a minority. Most of these people did not give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck at all. Because they know they get paid regardless. And because there's perhaps maybe there's a shortage, they know that they can't be easily replaced or fired. So maybe that's why they act the way they're acting. They can't even pretend to work when the cameras are rolling.
The pandemic, and made worse by really a lot of misuse of a lot of the funds that have been coming into the healthcare system in Ontario over the course of the past year or two.
Of course, because it's run by the government. Of course there's going to be misuse, but they're not going to say that.
Okay, give me an example of misuse.
So you hear all these rumors of money that's been given to the provincial government, for instance, to help prop up the healthcare system that's gone unused. And that's rather disappointing to hear.
Unused or probably missing.
Given the fact that nurses' wages haven't been rising with the rate of inflation because of that, I think it's Bill 124, or even looking at, as I've said, retention strategies I think are very important, but also hiring strategies. And although I think that it's very important to have a way for internationally trained nurses and physicians and other healthcare workers to be able to find a place within our healthcare system, being able to keep people here, I think, is more important.
Yeah, and they don't stay here because we have US down south, which is like a 1 hour drive away from here, and they pay a lot more, and they have a private healthcare system where doctors, if they're good, they can make a lot of money. The shitty doctors like to stay here in the socialist system where the demand and supply is fixed, but in a free market where, you know, people get, you know, people have more choice. The good doctors do better and they make more money, so why wouldn't they want to move to the US? We have a huge brain drain issue. We get all our good people go down to the US, and everybody knows to really make it, you have to go to the States.
Interesting. Is it hyperbole to say it's like you're at the Alamo, you're waiting for the cavalry, and no cavalry's coming?
Yeah, and that's what it's been like for the past several years. I went right at the very beginning of the pandemic. I had a lot of very positive conversations with the people that I work with and the people that have supported me throughout all of this, saying that, you know, we were all very concerned about what was to come if this pandemic got out of control, which it really has, and the help really hasn't come. We haven't been.
The thing that he said about the pandemic out of control, it's really not. It's really not as bad as they say it is.
able to train extra people. We've lost people, and also that get up and
they put the picture of these people on their cell phones again.
go and teamwork
We have a shortage because these motherfuckers are not working, bro.
spirit that I think we all had in March of 2020 has long since dissipated. We're tired of being abused, and I think that a lot of people really have left the industry because there isn't that strength in numbers that we used to have, and the people that are remaining can't do the jobs that they want to be able to do, and that hurts. It hurts people, it hurts our patients, and it makes us feel awful.
Dr. Dale Colina is an infectious diseases physician at Joseph Brand Hospital. Thanks for your time today.
He said a lot of things without saying anything. Let's move on to the next bullshit piece. What we got here? Shouldn't be difficult to find more fake news content. I mean, this is all fake news. It's all fake news. I'm gonna do one more. Poilievre. Yeah, they hate Pierre Poilievre because he's... I mean, he is a politician at the end of the day, but at least he pretends to be for the people, and at least he's saying the right things. I don't know how the election's going to turn out. Hopefully, well, anything but Trudeau. Anything but Trudeau. Let's see. Let's do one more. Oh, this is a good one. They're banning the import of handguns in Canada. And this happened the day I went for my handgun test here in Canada. I did my rifle long gun test, the restricted, and then there's a non-restricted test, which is for pistols. And the day I did my pistol test, the day I did it, this clown decided to ban them. Even though he cited the rise in handgun violence in Toronto, in Canada as a reason. But even though the people who commit those crimes, they don't care about handgun laws. You think the criminal down the street is going to turn his handgun in because this clown made it illegal? It's all intentional. I don't even think Trudeau is that dumb. Maybe he is. But they do it to appease to their people. And I know there's a lot of liberals who cheered him on for this. But this is not going to reduce your crime on the streets. Because the criminal, he doesn't care about gun laws. You think he's going to be like, oh, let me turn my fucking handgun in because Trudeau said no more handguns. Let's get into this bullshit. I would bet that CTV was probably cheering this decision.
We have some breaking news to bring you. Canada is going to temporarily ban handgun.
And as long as he stays in, it's probably going to be banned forever now because there's no prime minister who's going to take charge on this and undo that ban, because if there's any bump in violence after that, or anybody who commits a crime with a legal handgun, that prime minister, that leader is going to be blamed. So they never want to, and nobody wants to take that responsibility. So I'm pretty sure this freeze is going to stay in permanently.
Imports in an effort to keep guns off the streets. The Liberals tabled gun control legislation, Bill C-21, back in May.
The crimes are not being committed by legal handgun owners. Why would you go commit a crime with a legally registered handgun that's registered in your name? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But these people don't operate on common sense. It's about feelings. It feels good to ban handguns because it sounds like it's going to be safer that way. These people don't operate on logic.
Which would see a national freeze on handguns. Now, the temporary ban on imports is the latest push from the government to pass the bill when Parliament resumes.
They have no place in any community, in any neighborhood, in any street. They have one purpose and one...
Do you think criminals care? Do you think a criminal would stop carrying a gun because of your fucking bullshit-ass speech? You think he's gonna not shoot people because you said they don't, because you're saying handguns don't have place in any community? The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. If somebody breaks in my house right now and I don't have a gun to defend myself, I'm fucking dead. And criminals don't care about laws. But these people don't care about facts. Who cares about that shit? They just want to do what sounds good. They want to get votes.
Purpose only, and that is to kill people as quickly and as devastatingly as possible.
Well, you're going to say the same thing about rifles. Most of you liberals do, so I guess that's next. They're probably going to come for the rifles next. But they have to do this shit in steps. They have to do it incrementally. If if they did a sweeping handgun ban and a rifle ban, a lot of people would be pissed. But that's why they do it step by step. So it's handgun now, then it's going to be the rifle.
And one purpose only, and that is to kill people.
No, it's not. You could hunt with a gun. I could defend myself with a gun, but we're not allowed to in Canada, actually. So yeah, of course, I would never defend myself with a gun. That's the law in this country. That even if somebody breaks in your home with a gun, I'm not allowed to use a legally registered gun to defend myself. And that's how cucked out Canada is.
As quickly and as devastatingly as possible. One of the other alarming trends is that we have seen...
If 5 guys break in here with knives or machetes, how the fuck am I going to defend myself? I know MMA, but I know that shit ain't gonna... It's not a Hollywood movie. That shit don't work against 5 guys with machetes. You're going to be fucking dead. But these people don't care. This guy probably has armed security wherever he goes. I don't know who he is, but he's on a mic, so he's probably somebody important. He has armed security, so he doesn't care. But these people don't care about you, man. They're in their fucking ivory towers and their bulletproof limousines with their security guards who all have handguns and assault rifles, but they don't want you to have one.
Handgun violence specifically go up by significant percentages, and that's one of the reasons why.
All right, tell your security detail to turn in their handguns. But see, you're not going to do that.
It's so important that we put into place the national handgun freeze. This is advice that we've received not only from law enforcement, which would be a step in the right direction, but equally those survivors and those victims and those women's groups we've engaged with robustly.
The ban is set to begin on August 19th.
August 10th. So if the RCMP had mailed me my license, I could have gotten it. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Because, you know, it's a government institution and they're going to take their time. So I'm not going to get my license for another few months. And by that time, I'm not going to be allowed to buy a handgun. I can still buy a rifle, but not a handgun. And that is because these idiots think that restricting me from owning a handgun is going to stop the criminal down the street from shooting somebody in the face. But that's how these people don't care about truth or reality or common sense. That's why they're fake news. And let's look at their comment section before we end this video. It's all going to be negative. Look, I'm sure criminals will be very sad to hear that they no longer can purchase a gun legally. In an unrelated story, the government in Canada plans to maintain the temporary income tax of 1917 for the upcoming fiscal year 2022. Basically, what he's saying is there's no such thing as a temporary government measure. So this, like I said in the video earlier, this is most likely going to be a permanent freeze. They need to agree before they can move on this legally. They need to agree on a parliamentary level. That is why this is temporary for now. Another overreach of the government. There is more. This guy says there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government policy. Exactly. So all the comments are negative towards the government. But these people at CTV, they never voice the voice of the people. They're not the voice of the people. They're the voice of the government and big giant corporations. And they're puppets, man. They're mouthpieces. They don't talk for these people. Look at the comments section, man. Look at how many likes this video got. 282 and 31,000 views. And I imagine, because this is one of the reasons the dislike button was taken away, where it doesn't show the dislike stats, because mainstream TV channels like these were getting murked on YouTube. And this is why the dislike button went away. But the people can still see, man. 282 likes, that means there's 2,000 dislikes. People know, man. Even the sheeple are waking up to the fraud that is the government of Canada and governments in general all around the world. And the fake news that is CTV, CBC. So smash the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one.